Where others see an advertisement, we see the opportunity to create enduring images, because telling your story is more than our job, it's our passion. Tedley Media Partners. We don't just win elections, we build careers.
Calcasieu is a special place, and its people are special too. Proud, independent, with strong traditional values that come from the lives of the people and their faith. Work hard, play hard, honor God by serving the community. These are the values that have sustained us for generations. We deserve to be heard in Baton Rouge, and Ronnie Johns will bring our voice to the Senate.
We're building a new Louisiana, smarter, modern, more progressive. It still has the charm of the past, but with a viable future. Businesses, entrepreneurs, and young people are working together to move past old-style politics and create new opportunities. As your Public Service Commissioner, my job is to help you succeed, bringing business and consumer groups together for more affordable energy to create the jobs of the future.
Lambert Boissier, changing Louisiana for a brighter future.
Katrina, the worst storm in American history and the greatest crisis ever faced by a New Orleans sheriff. As the floodwaters rose, Sheriff Marlon Gusman had to transfer thousands of dangerous prisoners, the largest prison evacuation in history. Throughout the crisis, Sheriff Gusman stayed at the jail, directing this huge operation calmly and confidently with no loss of life, earning the respect of law enforcement officials everywhere. Sheriff Marlon Gusman, serving our city with courage and distinction.
When I was young, I remember how hard my grandmother worked, inspiring us to work hard in school, to be the best. And when I first heard an attorney speak about what his job was to fight for people who could not fight for themselves, I knew that was what I wanted to do with my life.
From high distinction as a student through handling hundreds of cases in court and managing other lawyers, Regina Bartholomew has the qualifications and experience we need in a judge. Regina Bartholomew Judge, Civil District Court, Division B.
When Hans Liljeburg played football, he was a linesman, a tough, committed player who put teamwork and victory first and made the big plays possible. As a prosecutor under Paul Koenig, he was the same kind of lawyer, fighting hard to bring criminals to justice and make sure they met their day in court. He'll bring the same toughness and integrity to the bench as our next judge, Hans Liljeburg, the kind of judge we need in Jefferson. Why is one child born for glory, another seemingly doomed? In Louisiana, the answer has always been politics. This year, there's a candidate who's finally going to put our working families first. A governor who'll crusade for our children, who'll work for better health care, better schools, for better jobs for the future. She's the mother of 6, and she's fighting for all of us, for our hopes and dreams, for our kids. Kathleen Babineau Blanco, putting people first.
The choice is clear: Jim Tucker for Secretary of State. These leading newspapers endorsed his historic achievements as Speaker of the House, and the Times-Picayune singled him out as instrumental in the passage of Governor Jindal's reform plan. Sheriffs across the state joined in a unanimous and ringing endorsement of Jim Tucker as the right leader for Secretary of State. He opposed tax hikes, and he's been fighting to bring government spending under control. Vote Jim Tucker for Secretary of State.
Chris Bruno is one of our best lawyers, and he will make one of our best judges. He's admired as a lawyer's lawyer, a legal craftsman. Craftsmanship is in his blood. As a boy, Chris Bruno worked in his family's cabinet shop, learning centuries-old traditions and workmanship. He's served by appointment by the Supreme Court as a judge already. He's one of the best prepared people ever to run for judge in New Orleans. Chris Bruno, Judge, Civil District Court.
Imagine the city council without Peggy Wilson. Imagine a city without lights. Imagine what would happen if no one stood up to the mayor, the governor, the police chief, no one to fight waste and fraud, no one to fight for the people, no one to watch the utility company or the casino. Imagine the city council without Peggy Wilson, and vote.
There's one job each of us was born to do. One job that's our calling. Foster Campbell's calling is public service, and the job he was born to do is Public Service Commissioner, the person who fights for us. He's a born fighter, and not everyone has always agreed with him, because he's taken on some pretty tough fights. But there's one thing everyone agrees on. Foster Campbell has the courage of a lion.
I ought to know. He's my father.
This is the Supreme Court, our state's highest court. The final word over every state case in Louisiana. Every court, every lawyer, every judge. Before joining a prominent law firm, Tiffany Gauthier Chase was a highly respected attorney for the Supreme Court, researching thousands of cases and drafting important decisions. That's why the Alliance for Good Government and the Times-Picayune are strongly supporting her. There are many good lawyers, but there aren't many with the scholarship and experience to be a really good judge.
Many a morning in the last 8 years, Kathleen Blanco has risen before dawn to start a 14-hour day, leading the tourism revolution. It's a $9 billion industry, our state's second largest. She created 21,000 new jobs, and we led the nation in growth.
When the next automobile plant is built in the South, we will be in the hunt. Louisiana can win the big ones.
Kathleen Babineau Blanco, our best chance for real change.
I'm Jim Tucker, and I'm a small business owner. My father ran a family shoe store, and I'm glad my kids won't have to leave Louisiana to make good lives for their families. Just a generation ago, this was hard, with old Louisiana political corruption. Today, things have changed, because we changed them. As Speaker of the House, I led the fight for the most sweeping reforms in Louisiana history. I believe in the creativity of small business, that less government is better government, and no new taxes. I'm Jim Tucker, and I believe in the people of Louisiana.
For Public Service Commissioner, there's one candidate the Alliance for Good Government, Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, and AFL-CIO agree on, Lambert Wassier. Lambert Wassier brought together business and consumer groups working for clean, affordable energy to create jobs and opportunities. He passed the strongest ethics rules in Louisiana and earned the endorsement of Mayors Mitch Landrieu, Kip Holden, and the Times-Picayune. Vote for a cleaner Louisiana. Vote Lambert Wassier. Since October, Peggy Wilson has been to more than 30 funerals, all young people, all gunned down in New Orleans. Mrs. Sims lost her son Ivory on our streets, and she's supporting Peggy Wilson's fight on behalf of all the bereaved mothers of New Orleans, because Mrs. Sims thinks that when we choose a councilman, the content of her character should count for more than the color of her skin. 10 years ago, a city in crisis, crime out of control, the murder capital of America. Marlin Guzman becomes Chief Administrative Officer of New Orleans, and Richard Pennington becomes Police Chief. Together, they tackled the crime problem and restructured the police department. The murder rate drops in half. People feel safe again. Today, we face a new crisis, and that's why the Alliance for Good Government is supporting Marlin Guzman for criminal sheriff. Proven and effective leadership for a safer New Orleans.
There has to be a reason we get out of bed in the morning. Something beyond earning a paycheck and putting bread on the table. My reason is my daughters. We have 5. Another's on the way. That's why I was a prosecutor. Not just to put the bad guys behind bars, but to make sure my kids are spared the dark side of life. My values are simple. God, family, country. Maybe it's kind of corny, but at the end of the day, I'd like for my girls to remember their father as the hero of their lives.
Arnie Filko has fought the people's battles in City Hall. As our City Council President, he led the fight to create the Inspector General's Office to fight waste and corruption, improve flood protection and crime prevention, work for recreational programs, and to create better jobs for all of our citizens. Now, he's leading the fight for reform to make government more open, honest, and accountable. Let's keep Arnie Filko on the City Council.
When a violent crime is committed, the perpetrator gets a lawyer. But what about the victim? Dale Atkins has a new plan for the DA's office that will assign one veteran prosecutor to every murder, every rape, every violent crime against women or children to follow the case through all the way to sentencing and be an advocate and champion for the victims and their families. That's the effective way to fight violent crime. Dale Atkins, DA, the real prosecutor with a real plan to make New Orleans safe.
When Kathleen Babineau Blanco became lieutenant governor, she promised to rebuild our state's image and show the world what's best about Louisiana, us, our families, our culture. And under her leadership, we've changed the way America looks at our state. She's made the world think better of Louisiana. And best of all, she's made us feel better about ourselves. Lieutenant Governor Kathleen Babineau Blanco. They will never see the inside of a courtroom, most of these people. Most of them will never be in trouble, will never be sued. They're too busy with the substance of their lives, their families, their work. These good people of Jefferson deserve a judge as decent and honorable as they are. One candidate stands out for his character, his integrity, and his unswerving adherence to our values. Hans Liljeburg. We can trust him with our lives.